For this tutorial, I'm going to provide you with information on how to create the quilting design. As you recall, I am working with circles, so I'm going to select the ellipse tool, and I'm going to actually use the control key on my keyboard in addition to the ellipse so I can get a perfectly sized circle. And so for the bottom of the basket, I had one circle for the left, and then I'm going to duplicate that, so that's Control D to get the exact same size circle, and I'm going to put that on the right. Okay, and then I'm going to add a smaller circle just on the top there. And actually, I think I'm going to bring these two circles down just a bit. Okay, I think I like that better. Now, the next step is to really make all of these circles continuous. So in order to do that, I'm actually going to add some splits and then connect them up. So I'm going to put a split there, one there, and then one there, and then one there. So now, and I'm also going to split the ends off and add straight lines instead. So we'll put a couple more splits in. And then we'll add a couple of straight line segments using the pencil tool, or actually no, the line tool. I'm sorry about that. Okay, now let's start connecting things up. And actually, before I do that, I'm going to get rid of those segments I don't need any longer. And to connect, I like to use the T key on my keyboard and then just connect the next piece. Now, for this one, it's a little tricky because I don't want to connect to that segment. So I'm going to actually move that out of the way. And then I'm going to move it back. And I'm going to make sure I've got the snap to anchors key, and that's just the S key on my computer, so that everything snaps in place. And again, if I couldn't get to it, I just moved the other piece out of the way. And I think in the center it looks like they're not all snapping together, so I'm going to actually zoom in there. And now there, they all are snapped together. Great. Okay, now I also want to add some circles for the basket handle. So again, going to the ellipse tool, I'll draw my first circle, and again, if I use the control key on my keyboard, I can get a perfectly sized circle. That one's a little big, so I'm going to start by just making it a little bit smaller. And I want these circles to make sure that they're all touching each other, so I'm going to actually change my pen width to 0 so that I can then duplicate each of those and place them. And you can see I'm basically trying to get them touching each other, and you know, I can zoom in if I want to just double check that, but that looks actually pretty good, and I don't want to spend too much time on that in the video here. So now what I need to do is actually split each of the circles at the points that they're intersecting so that I can then combine them. Okay, I've got them all split. So now I have to basically combine everything back together. And if you see what I'm doing with my arrow here, I'm trying to go around one circle. Actually, I want to go this way, so I want to go this way and basically do bottoms of one circle and tops of the other. So I do need to move part of the segments away so that I am actually connecting the segment pieces that I want. And I'm not real careful about where I move those pieces to because I do have snap to anchors on, and so I'm going to use that to make sure everything connects up in the future here. Oops, and I moved the wrong one there, so let's get that out of the way. Okay. And I find I like to tie them actually before I snap them in place, just because if they end up underneath, then I have to move things out of the way again, as you were seeing. Okay, I think that's done. Then I also am putting some circles in the corners of the block, and again using the ellipse and the control button on my keyboard. And once I have one, I'll duplicate that and duplicate it again, so I have a total of 3, and then I will place them somewhere consistent. And then I can duplicate that, rotate it 90 degrees, and move it to the other corner. And again, I can split like I did when I was doing the rest of the basket, but I'm not going to actually demonstrate that again. Okay, I'd like to test the stitch out of my designs at this point. So the first thing I want to do is actually select all of them and apply stitches. And then you can click on the simulate sewing. And my goal at this point is just to see that everything is connecting up the way I was planning for it to connect up during my design. And it appears to be doing exactly what I was hoping it would do, so that looks good. And so I would now save my design.